For more than 75 years, the alliance between the United States and Europe has been one of the foundations of modern international order. It has survived wars, economic crises, and political disagreements, built on a simple promise that allies stand together when the world becomes uncertain. But now, that promise was thrown into fresh doubt at the NATO summit, with US President Donald Trump renewing his call for the United States to take control of Greenland and warning that American troops could withdraw from Europe if allies failed to support his demands. The remarks sent shockwaves through European capitals, raising new questions about the future of one of history's most enduring alliances. For many in Europe, these comments are about far more than Greenland. They touch something much deeper: trust. Alliances are built not only on military strength or economic power, they are built on confidence that partners will stand together during moments of crises. When that confidence begins to weaken, uncertainty quickly fills the space. Governments begin asking difficult questions. Can long-standing security guarantees still be relied upon? Should Europe prepare to defend itself with less American support? And what happens if the political assumptions that have shaped generations suddenly begin to change? Greenland itself has become far more than a remote Atlantic island. It sits at the crossroads of growing global competition, with melting ice opening new shipping routes and increasing interest in the region's strategic position and natural resources. The Arctic is becoming an arena where the interests of major powers increasingly collide. For Trump, Greenland represents national security. For Denmark and Greenland, it represents sovereignty, identity, and the right of people to determine their own future. These competing visions have transformed a once obscure territory into the centre of an international debate. Beyond diplomacy, these developments also affect ordinary people. Families across Europe who have lived for decades under the protection of NATO now find themselves wondering whether the security architecture they grew up with is beginning to shift. Soldiers serving together across the alliance, communities living near American air bases, and younger generations who have never known a Europe without a strong transatlantic tie are all watching these developments with growing concern. History has shown that alliances are rarely tested when everything is going well. They are tested when political pressure rises, when interests diverge, and when difficult choices must be made. The strength of an alliance lies not in avoiding disagreement, but in finding ways to overcome it. Whether these latest remarks become negotiating tactics or the beginning of a more fundamental shift remains uncertain. But they have already achieved one thing. They have forced Europe and the United States to confront difficult questions about their future and the future of their relationship, the balance of global power, and what collective security would look like in an increasingly unpredictable world.
Trump's comments come at a time when Europe is already reassessing its long-term security. Russia's continuing war in Ukraine, growing competition in the Arctic, and rising geopolitical tensions have encouraged many European governments to increase defence spending and strengthen military cooperation. Against that backdrop, suggestions that American troops could be withdrawn from Europe have intensified concerns about whether the continent should become less dependent on the United States for its own security. The renewed focus on Greenland reflects its growing strategic importance. As climate change reshapes the Arctic, new maritime routes and increased access to natural resources have drawn the attention of governments around the world. Denmark has repeatedly maintained that Greenland's future will be decided by its own people, while Greenland's leaders have consistently rejected the idea of any external power determining the island's sovereignty. Many analysts believe these debates represent a broader transformation in global politics. Traditional alliances are increasingly being tested by competing national interests, changing security priorities, and the emergence of new geopolitical rivalries. Whether these latest tensions prove temporary or become part of a lasting realignment will depend on diplomacy in the months ahead. What is already clear is that questions once considered settled are now being asked again.
Now, I would invite the Secretary General.
The coming months are likely to determine whether these remarks remain political rhetoric or evolve into lasting policy. European leaders will continue strengthening defence cooperation while seeking reassurance about America's long-term commitment to NATO. At the same time, Greenland is expected to remain at the centre of strategic competition in the Arctic, where security, sovereignty, and global influence increasingly intersect. Whatever happens next, the debate is already changing the conversation. It has reminded allies that even the strongest partnerships cannot be taken for granted and that the future of international security may be entering a new uncertain chapter. This is Breaking Silence. 3 stories from 3 very different arenas: a football stadium, a protest outside a political visit, and the future of a military alliance. Different events, but the same reminder. History is shaped not only by those in power, but by those willing to stand up, speak, and refuse to be ignored. These are the stories that the powerful would rather keep in the shadows. Stay safe, stay compassionate, and until next time, keep watching, keep caring. And if you missed any part of today's show, be sure to go to our YouTube channel, Asia One News. I'm Craig Vermay, and you've been watching Breaking Silence.